there were so many beautiful things that were happening in the meditation with everyone, and there was one point where it was just so chaotic, the sound that was coming from everyone and from everywhere. And I just had this beautiful realization that, you know, how important that feeling of acceptance and just that, as you just said, that love, from hatred to love, is for us all, and at this moment where we don't know what the future is, and where things may seem chaotic, and they might get even more chaotic.
Good call and good reminder. This is where this path also is not for mishmash. When we say path of the heart, it's the path of the warrior. It's a different kind of warrior, spiritual warrior. And the amount of work, this spiritual work that we are faced with, is not a trivial affair. Because as with all times, the time we live in is one of such times when the transition is not just going to be like, okay, this didn't work, now we're going to try something else. And indeed, these phases of uncertainty are often very much part and parcel, and the characteristics of our time, that we seek certainty, and people who are being put in a position of power, people who have been put in a position to rule countries, they have to exercise that sense of certainty, because then otherwise how can the voters give their trust to them? But what is interesting is that all this runs on some kind of autopilot, and nobody really knows, because we no longer live in time when there is a solid ground where our ideologies, or rather where our lives and values are rooted in these ideologies. Very often it's the other way around. They're like slogans, fragmented, in fact, slogans of, even the word is used, democracy. Well, what does it mean? Do we even know what it means, what it exemplifies fully? So this kind of like what you have shared just now, what you felt compelled, indeed, is right now is the time when it is our duty almost to live with a sense of uncertainty, because it's such time. But this is only possible if we are anchored in who we are, if we are anchored in that what is imperishable here, then no uncertainty can knock us over. Because if we look for certainty in how we perceive that, in the outer structures that are simply very many of them, and if dare say most of them are outlived structures. You can see the key structures. It's governing, self-defense, education, and medical care. Just tell me if these are not utterly corrupt and not utterly bankrupt in the sense of where they're rooted. No such thing. Governing is rooted in the outlive paradigms. Everyone is pursuing their interests and seeing what other interests can be pursued and where to align ourselves, what new alliances to create. And a huge portion of that goes into divide and conquer policies, because a lot is invested there. Education system, self-defense. All the armies in the world are in the name of self-defense, are they not? They are. All this military might is in the name of self-defense. so that the citizens can sleep well. And so it goes. It seems like, whoa, we're breaking away from the spiritual container. It's all spiritual. How can this not be spiritual? It's that Tesla would drive with clear consciousness, you know, rather than like. Or if you're in England, you're sitting on that side, so then right hand can be here. So the times of uncertainty, you know, embrace the uncertainty. And because as some people remind us that, or have reminded us that the transitions are not easy, but we have to make it. So we don't have a choice. This is our choiceless choice. So this is what it means. It's a call for that also warrior attitude. It's not a sluggish attitude. And warrior here, not someone who just like suddenly runs around after someone with a stick.
And then the most beautifulest thing happened. You know, just kind of having that lovely realization that this chaos was exactly what we needed. And surrendering to that. And then this new song, this beautiful new song came through. And also just to fall into that and let it chaotically but sweetly, the new song. And so I just wanted to share that. Thank you for the bliss that you give us and share with us. And for helping us realize that just to be happy for the sake of our own happiness and building us up in our light, in our love and acceptance and truth. Thank you.
All glory to the Divine, One and the Only. Jai Gurudev. I just want to add, just very short, something before we go on it, so that the courage in the heart is not dampened at any time. This is what we have spoken about the other day, or yesterday, when we talked about that butterfly effect, is precisely that minute quality, any growth, any more light on each and everyone's individual level adds to that shift in paradigm. That's what creates that transition. And the amazing thing is that the way it works, like in that magical kaleidoscope, things fall into perfectly orchestrated way due to the balance being maintained. So we don't even need to worry. Those of us who give ourselves to that what could be seen from another perspective as a self-indulgent, selfish affair of self-realization, because the deeper we work at the level of our consciousness, the more there can be remedied at the level where all these laws are inevitably rising. So the deeper one steers consciousness, the more one can affect at what we call gross level of creation. Because it does not work from that level. We cannot affect the deeper levels of creation at reshuffling on the gross level of creation, because these are the expression of the subtler reality, of the subtler domain. It works the other way. Just like Maharishi used to say, that we shake consciousness at a deep level and let it be. And again, we shake consciousness at a deeper level. But how things will, if you will, fizzle up, fizzy up, and adjust itself at the material level of creation, it's not even our business. The people will be getting Nobel Prize, like all this kind of whatever. Doesn't matter who will pocket the world peace. You see, the peace is maintained at a different level. So let that happen. You see, the Nobel Peace never is given to people who actually make it into the complete mission of their life. It is given to people who are active at the superficial level of creation. But that is fine, because it's all oneness. You see? Who cares who gets the medal? Who cares who gets the credit? Who cares how it is then seen in the historical books? Therefore, courage in the heart. That courage of not undermining of who we are here. Not to undermine the validity of your existence here. Value, a sheer value of being alive at this moment in time, and giving yourself to that process of transformation. Period. This is what the true noblest purpose exemplified in that term, Sanatana Dharma, eternal religion or eternal law. It is not subject to rise and decay. It's not relevant at that time, but no longer relevant at this time. It's relevant to all times because it's not bound to the superficial level of affairs.